Okay. Welcome back. Solo role Mangging. Shadowdark. Last time we finished up a quest. I'm actually gonna... Let's put this on the map here. This is what we did. We'll just put Sinister Secret of Baileythorpe. Because that's what we did last time. We finished that up. Put an end to the smugglers running out of this old haunted house in the cave there. Except we didn't really do it because they're not quite done yet. And we will get a call to action from Baileythorpe's town council soon enough. But what we wanted to do this time was deal with the zombies. The zombies continued to plague Baileythorpe. Perhaps, you know, based on their scouts and stuff, they know that in the marsh to the west, there's a large gathering of zombies just kind of milling about constantly. And that seems to be where they're coming from. But the mayor, the council, whatever of Baileythorpe does not have manpower on hand to go wipe out all these zombies. And peasants are certainly too afraid to form into any kind of militia because zombies are pretty scary. And these zombies are not, you know, like, oh, just push them over with a stick or something like that. These are aggressive, dangerous creatures. These are, you know, more akin to, I suppose, rage zombies, really. Based on our Shadowdark stats. It says they're lurching and decomposed that hunt in mobs. But they have a move of near. Which means that they are as quick as a human. So that seems to me more like rage zombies than anything. Yeah, I mean, bandits have a move of near, so, you know, they're faster, as fast as that. And they're hard to put down because of that whole con thing where if they go to 0, they get a con save, a hard one, to go back to 1 HP. So, obviously, the ones that get into town are proving to be a little dangerous. They are killing people, so, because there's no walls around Baileythorpe. So the situation's growing more and more dire, town morale plummeting, and they need some heroes. That's where we come in. And hopefully that's where we and a large troop of mercenaries comes in, because we can't really take on 71 zombies. It's quite possible that if we moved around and grabbed just patrols of zombies, that we could wipe them all out. But I want like a fucking World War Z sort of standoff, playing Iron Maiden kind of thing, where we just destroy zombies in mass. And we want to test out and just explore the concept of mass combat, because, you know, I think it'll be kind of interesting. Right, so we want to go to Vorthalis. We want to travel there with all our money, purchase or hire a mercenary troop for basically the length of one operation. We have to pay them for the whole month. They're not getting out of bed for less than a month pay, because it is dangerous work that you're asking them to do, and there it is, you know, 2-day marching there, 2-day marching back, and so on and so forth. You know, whatever. There's no weekly pay here. It's a month or nothing, and that's the cost. So, okay. It's gonna set us back. We are definitely going to spend more than we make out of killing zombies. Because, according to OSE, zombie type, treasure type for zombies is none. They don't have any money on them. But we strike a significant blow to the Necromancer's lair. And if we can possibly use the mercenaries to help out with the necromancer's lair as well, then maybe we could get to something. But they won't do any sort of dungeon work. That is out of their area of expertise. They are designed for, you know, battlefields and sort of open combat. But there might be a second battle at the lair as the necromancer sends the rest of his undead out in mass to prevent his death or capture. And then we have to go in after that battle to finish the final blow. So we're gonna set out, and we are carrying with us 1,911 gold. So we need to figure out the price of like a cart and I guess a donkey or something. We just need something to carry this gold, because we just can't lug around that much gold on an extended trip. So we got to get a cart of some kind. It's some sort of wagon. I don't know. We'll see. All right. So a draft donkey is 10 gold. That's pretty simple. We could bump it up to go for a horse, but I don't know. Or we could go a mule. Tell me what I want. Tell me what do I need? What's the difference between a donkey and a mule? I know what a mule is. I'm aware. But I mean mechanically. Tell me. A donkey is sure-footed, strong, stoic. Used to carry packs or pull vehicles. Smarter and tougher than horses. Relative to their weight, considerably stronger. They have exploration speed of 120. Which means that they could move 24 miles a day. But that's if they're unencumbered. They have a normal load of 15 stone or 150 pounds. Max load of 30 stone, 300 pounds. Wasn't it like 1,000 coins is a stone or something? That can't be correct. Maybe that's correct. Are we thinking that can't be correct? That would be 1,000 coins is 10 pounds. That can't be correct. Because of their sure-footedness, donkeys can be taken into the depths of a dungeon to aid in transporting equipment or treasure. Blah, 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 blah. They're efficient grazers. Okay, so, donkeys seem pretty fucking good to pulling a cart. It seems better than horses, so we probably lean towards donkey. Mules, hybrid of donkey and medium horse, speed of 150. Okay, so they are faster if you need to, if that's a consideration, and they can carry more. And they can also go into dungeon. Well, they're pretty much better donkeys, except they're not efficient grazers. So if used in an army, donkeys will have a supply cost. Or mules will have a supply cost. I guess they won't bolt. Donkeys won't bolt. They'll just become paralyzed with fear. That's kind of good. I think we're going to go with donkey, but we need to go more specifics with, like, what can they pull. So a small cart. Open two-wheel vehicle meant for personal transport. Maybe pulled by 1 or 2 mules. Cart is pulled by only 1 mule. It can transport up to 50 stone at 60 feet per turn. 75 stone at 30 feet per turn. Doesn't sound like donkeys can pull carts, which seems weird. None of these descriptions mention donkeys. Should I be concerned about that? Didn't it specifically say donkeys are there to pull stuff? Unless that means like plows. And not actual vehicles. 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 Yeah, so cart, small, large, one heavy horse movement, 60, 30. Well, I guess then we're probably looking at a small cart and one mule, which means 25 gold for the cart and the mule, draft mule, 20 gold for that. So 45 gold and we're on our way. Sure. You know, we'll do that. So 1911 minus 45. 1866. Easy math. Okay, we got a cart. We got a cart and a horse. Mule. What am I talking about? I was just thinking about numbers. See, it just boggles my brain when I throw numbers at it. Alright, anyways. So we set off. That's important to keep in mind. I'm going to put this in notes. Cart plus mule. I'm going to name the mule Hector. Yeah, sure. Okay. Anyways. So we're traveling out. I guess we'll refill all our rations as well, which probably is... I think that's pretty damn cheap. 3 rations, 5 silver. So I'll just spend a gold and we'll refill everyone back to full ration. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Alright, we're good. And we are setting off. So now, again, it was going to be... We have a speed of 12 miles per day, especially with the cart there. Well, no, the cart... I think he's pretty good, actually. 1 mule. Yeah, it's 12. With normal encumbrance. And I'm pretty sure... Now I don't remember, of course, but I'm pretty sure. 1 stone per 1,000 coins. So yes, technically this fucking mule pulling this cart, normal load, can carry 50,000 coins. So we're perfectly fine. It's just no one wants to carry the chest full of coins along the way. So we're weighed down a little bit too much. So that is 4 rolls per day and then 1 at night. So our first trek down the road, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're good at night. Ooh, night encounter. A little bit spicier. Do we want to roll Shadowdark again? What are people using? Let's see. Yeah, the D4 Caltrop thing. So I did grab that. This is 100 wilderness hexes. These are not really random encounters, though, although it could be something you encounter along the way that just pops up. So, like, we don't really have one for grasslands, but in the forest here, find a timber mill. And you can roll who's built by. Its dilapidated state can be attributed to something. Inside, one may find an enchanted ripsaw of sharpness. Teeth could be broken off when used as arrowhead. So, you know, just a whole bunch of just things you can populate a hex with. I think this is really good for filling up a Hexcrawl. And possibly just, yeah, a random encounter. It could be, but none of these are really going to make a whole lot of sense in the middle of the night for a random something approaching. We want something a little different than that. So I'm just kind of seeing what other people recommend. There's the encounter activity table as well, which we looked at a while back. But we want something to kind of generate something. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, the sandbox generator is probably pretty good because it allows us to pop in layers and stuff nearby, which is kind of nice. Surprised there's not, I know, again, we're on this whole thing of just I can't make a good decision about wilderness encounters. I guess we could go with OSE. That's probably what a lot of people use. So depending on the terrain. Here, okay. So this is OSE's encounters by terrain. So it's a D8 for grasslands, which is where we are. We got a 6, so it's going to be on the humanoid table. So then you go to the sub-table for humanoids on grasslands, and it's a D12, and you get 10, so it's pixies. And these are going to appear in the wilderness 1d4 times 10. So there's 20 pixies. I'm pretty sure pixies are in the Shadowdark book. Wonder what it says about them. No, they are not. No pixies. What about fairies? That's definitely in here. Yeah, miniature fae folk with fluttering moth or butterfly wings. It's pretty much what we're looking at, although... Yeah, pixies get invisibility, whereas fairies here get poison on their needles. You have to succeed on a con save or fall into deep sleep for 1d4 hours. Pixies get invisibility and daggers that do 1d4. Says they may remain invisible when attacking, cannot be attacked in the first round. In subsequent rounds may be attacked at -2 to hit. Locatable by faint shadows and air movement. That's kind of generous, I think. Always surprised if invisible. Then we roll, like... We could look at the D4 Caltrops encounter activity tables. I don't know if he's done pixies or not. He has done pixies. Okay. So this is now a D100 thing that we could roll on. 57. Manifesting suddenly to startle a sage. Okay, this is at night, though. I want to find something that that happens or is reasonable enough to happen at night. Just gonna keep rolling a second. No. Okay, I mean, that one actually could have worked. Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have done that. So the one that I rolled there, 83, was stringing colorful garlands to festoon their arbor. So it's not much really of an encounter, but it is something that possibly the players might be interested or concerned about. Is like in the trees nearby, or kind of off in the distance, like a very far distance or something, 240 feet or something, near in the wooded area nearby. We see lights just sort of bobbing up and down and moving, and then suddenly like staying stationary. I don't know. I guess it's called the garlands aren't necessarily lights that are visible or anything, but just to make it visible at night, to make it an encounter of some kind, we'll say that it's lights. Would we go investigate? Honestly, I'd say pretty unlikely. I think we would just make sure we have someone on guard. But we'll roll the oracle. Do we go investigate? We do not go investigate. It was unlikely. So, yeah, not much of an encounter. But a lot of these, I'm going to kind of skip over because it's a little tricky when playing solo, unless it's just combat. And I guess I could just do only combat encounters. So that was if I wanted to roll one of these interesting kind of activities they're doing. But if we just wanted to do straight up reaction roll to determine how they feel about us, I'd say, yeah, they're probably going to attack us. And getting attacked by 20 invisible pixies is pretty much a death sentence. Although we do have sleep. But I'm not going to get all 20, right? So, kind of dangerous. We'll just skip this one by, but mostly I'm just kind of interested in, like, the specifics. Oh, yeah, we had to spend a few days with her performing community service. So that's back now. Yeah, I admit that one's not much of an atonement. It's just like if you are in a dungeon or, you're really far from civilization and you lose cure wounds and that becomes your atonement, it might be a while before you get it back instead of just resting overnight or something. In our case, though, we were right by a settlement. So, not much to say. Then the night passes and we continue on. So we have another 4 rolls. Boom, 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 boom. We do have another encounter. Let's stick with the OSE random encounter tables. So a D8, 7. It's going to be insects. Okay, this is probably going to be hostile shit. This is D12. 12. Spider tarantellas. 7-foot-long, hairy hunting spiders that resemble tarantulas. Magical in nature. And this is the one where it has poison. And if you fail the save, you dance for 2d6 turns. And then anyone looking at you has to make a save or begin dancing in the same way. And dancing gives you a -4 penalty to attack rolls and AC. After 5 turns of dancing, they become exhausted, fall to the ground helpless. So that's 50 minutes. Hopefully you're probably either dead or you're not dead by that point. Let's look at the giant spider table, and we'll roll on the... it has a specific entry for tarantellas. So this is a D30 entry. 16. Laying tambourine-shaped eggs along the base of an ornate dais. That's sort of an interesting thing. Let me re-roll that real quick. 30. Wrapping up an unconscious apprentice as their wizard waltzes. Okay. This works. So, again, we're traveling along the road, and oftentimes you wouldn't even really have... This is why acts exclusively for civilized road areas as just no encounter or a civilized encounter. Yeah. Civilized, no encounter, civilized encounter. Or it's possible to roll on the next shift over, and then you could have something more interesting. But even in the borderlands along the road, there's a very good chance there's going to be no encounter, and then otherwise a civilized encounter. Very slim odds of anything else. So honestly, I think this is probably a much better system than just a flat 1d6. For no matter what hex you're in. I think probably you should roll, if you're going to do 1d6, roll it like every other hex if you're in a civilized area along a road, or one every 4 hexes or something. But no, I mean, this system is pretty good. So if we get, for the last leg of our journey, maybe we'll roll on this. It's like, it's so many civilized encounters that it's kind of boring. The civilized encounters are mostly just like, okay, there's a pilgrim, you pass by a pilgrim, you pass by a patrol, you pass by a merchant, you pass by some farmers, and it's like, you're not going to try and make all of these interesting. The only ones that are interesting really are the bandits, brigands, possibly the patrol, depending on what the party's doing. And then there is a chance for a devil boar. It is possible to see some like herd animals nearby, or a horse nearby or something. So, a little bit. But I think mostly I would just like, okay, they're moving this amount of hexes on a road. I'm just going to roll 4d20 or whatever and see how many civilized encounters there are. Roll them real quick. It helps when you just have buttons. You can just boop, 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 push, 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 push. And it's like, okay, during the day you encounter, a couple pilgrims and a merchant or something. If they wanted to stop and say something to the merchant, see what their wares are or something, then we could play it out then. But most of the time, that's not going to be an interesting, unique encounter. Because why would it be? This is meant to be realistic. Anyways, where were we? Oh, right. So, yeah. Okay, so... nearby on the road, this would have been in the afternoon or so, in near a wooded area, we sort of hear, we definitely hear the wizard is poisoned, so he's dancing, but I don't think he's silent about it. And his apprentice is webbed up. Or, is unconscious and getting webbed up. So maybe the wizard kind of spots us in the distance on the road. And he starts shouting for help. That there's giant spiders and they're going to eat his apprentice. So, of course, we very quickly leave Torsen to it. We leave Torsen to the cart and the mule. We leave him and Hector there. And we spring into action. Now, these tarantellas appear in groups of 1d3. So, yep, we got 2 of them. We got 2 of these giant tarantellas. And they are not lightweights. These are 14 AC, 4 hit dice at 18 HP. They attack +3, 1d8 plus their dancing poison. I don't know if these are in Shadowdark specifically. There's Giant Spider, which is relatively close, but not quite. These are definitely much more dangerous. The Giant Spider in Shadowdark does 1d4, and then a poison that can paralyze. But these have more health, slightly higher AC, and 1d8 damage. Plus their dancing poison. So. So we're charging in. And they're busy wrapping up this apprentice, so I don't think we really surprise them, though. Because we have to run across sort of the plain there. We have to run across the field to get to the woods where they are, or whatever. So I don't think there's any surprise here, and we're just going to roll initiative. So we get a... Well, we rolled a 20 again, but I actually clicked this instead of the dex. So, no luck for that. I shouldn't have done that before and nothing. But, alright, we go first. So we get kind of the jump on him. Grim's going to charge in with black silver and stab the one wrapping up the apprentice. Missing wildly. Of course he does. Clara is going to blind one of them. Actually, she should have done that first. Let's pretend she did that first to the one that Grim's going to attack. Success. Alright, it's blind, so now he gets advantage on it. Still misses. Sleep's not going to work here. But Denton will just cast Magic Missile on that one. Success for 1 damage. Great. And then Norbert will swoop in with Fate's Crescent on the blind one. I am counting this as backstab. Maybe I shouldn't, but I am. Oh, man! I told you, it's insane. I mean, it's pretty... I don't know. I don't know, man. Would you... Am I being too nice to thieves with that? If you hit a creature who is unaware of your attack... It's vague. It's delightfully vague, I think. I just can't... I don't know. You know, I type like modern D&D has sneak attack, and that, like 5th edition, whenever you have advantage on an attack roll, you get your sneak attack. If we followed that rule, then Thief is pretty good. Like, pretty damn good. Let me check Tales of Argosa, because that has blind. That has advantage, but I don't know if... Let's see, Rogue. Backstab. When making a melee attack against a target that is surprised by you. Well, that seems pretty clear. It seems more clear than Shadowdark to not be in favor of what I'm doing here. It's only good on surprise. And then let me check the OSC when attacking an unaware opponent from behind. Well, we're not going to really get an answer here for modern D&D. This is from Rules Cyclopedia. If the intended victim sees, hears, or is warned of the thief's approach, the thief's attack is not a backstab. Could really go a number of different directions here. Usually you don't allow any backstabs in melee. Or in combat, I mean. Like, in the midst of a combat. Every opponent is wary, and, you know, you can't, like, just hide from their view temporarily and pop out. Because they're in a combat situation. I think what I could maybe reasonably argue as a compromise is that you could get off that first backstab against a blind target, but then subsequently you wouldn't be able to get it because he's going to be very on alert of anything behind him and around him and stuff like that. Whereas this, he was unaware of your existence entirely. See, here says, I would say an opponent is unaware when the thief is invisible, hidden, or otherwise undetectable. I mean, what's the difference between me being invisible and you being blind? If you're blind, everybody's invisible. Unless you're like, you know, Matt Murdock or something and you've lived with your blindness extended. But this spider just became blind. It's a new blind. I don't know. I'm fine with this backstab, but yes, I would probably say subsequent backstabs, no go. So that was our whole round. It didn't die, by the way. We did 16 damage to it out of 18, so it's close to death. It's feeling death, but it's not dead. Now, it might make a morale save here because, pretty rough. Here's another question. Do I like how Shadowdark does morale? You know, Shadowdark has, it's just a will save. And the DC is 15. And some enemies are immune to morale check, like undead. It seems, yeah, I guess likely most creatures are just going to flee. On average, most are going to flee. Whereas I don't know if that's the case. Like, in OSC, these Tarantellas have a morale of 8. Okay. So, you would, roll 2d6. And if you roll above the morale, they surrender or attempt to flee. If you roll equal to or less, they will continue to fight. So these Tarantellas have a, an above average chance to stick around. But, yeah. So, I don't know. I like the 2d6 method, I think. Because it's a little bit more... I don't know, it's a little bit more specific to each creature, it seems. Rather than always having a DC. Oh, they actually have a whole stat block for the Wandering Merchant here. Yeah, he's level 15. He's got the Vorpal Bastard Sword, plus 9. He has an Amulet of Ram Hotep, where he can teleport you to a random location in the multiverse. He beheads you on a roll of 18 through 20. And anyone who steals from him develops a curse, turning into a cockatrice over the next 2d8 days. Okay. What was I talking about? The spider. Right, so Giant Spider here has a +1 will, which means that it will stick around on a 14 or higher. So, there's a 35% chance. I would not count that as above average. So, I admire Shadowdark's commitment to keeping most things a D20 and that's it. I just don't think that's a better morale system. Because most creatures are just going to run unless they're immune. Yeah, I know that that's realistic. And I suppose that's maybe the point, and maybe the old school morale rules are not realistic. But I mean, if Axe still abides by it, then you know that it's realistic. Because they don't do anything. It's not realistic. But Axe rules are definitely more nuanced because, yeah, every monster has a morale rating, which is like -1 or +1 or, you know, +0, whatever. And then there's modifiers to the 2d6 roll, depending on if they're outnumbered or if they have, the group has lost a lot of its units, things like that. There's a big bonus if the group cannot retreat and the enemy's not accepting their surrender. And then you roll 2d6, and if you get 2 or less, then they are doing a frightened retreat, which is what you'd expect. But there's a lot more options in there, like morale faltering. They just get kind of a penalty, and they try to do like a fighting withdraw to move backwards and get out of combat and stuff, and then maybe run or surrender. But then a lot of the options are just kind of continuing to fight or advancing on the opponents, or just like, we're fighting and we're going to win this and we're, you know, going to pursue you if you start running. So it's a little bit more nuanced. So let's say, I mean, we did this roll for this individual spider. Let's give him a +1, will be nice. And he's outnumbered. So that's like a -2. And then he's lost more than 2/3 of starting HP. So he's at like a -6 total. And we roll 2d6. So it's a 1. So he is going to do a frightened retreat. Now, this is definitely more involved of a process, but I have a feeling that if you just played Axe for like 3 years and knew the system in and out, it would just be kind of second nature. Probably would not take that long. Whereas if I just rolled that 7 for OSE, there isn't any modifiers listed for morale or anything, so that is below its morale score and it does not flee. So I think the modifiers are kind of a big aspect, because that is, I mean, yeah, an enemy rolling morale that has that is not outnumbered and has only lost half of its health or something like that, they're less likely to flee than somebody on like the brink of death. So that should kind of be reflected, and I don't know, I mean, maybe OSE advises that or something. Yeah, situational adjustments from -2 to +2 based on the situation. So if we had given him a +2. Yeah, if we had given him a +2, then he would have gotten a 9 and he would have failed. So you could, I mean, yeah, it's sort of there. The system's sort of in place to be flexible. Either way, whatever you want to do, or you could just do Shadowdarks. But I would say if you're going to do Shadowdarks, then I would expect, on average, most of your creatures are going to run. So depending on how you feel about that, how players feel about that, that's most likely what's going to happen. So that one's going to bolt through the wood. That's going to give up on this food and get the fuck out of here. Then I probably could give a morale check for the other one. Alright, we'll do a morale check for the other one then, and we'll not do any modifiers for it because it's uninjured. We'll do it OSE style. 10, okay, well that also failed, so the other one's also going to bolt. You know, most animals and creatures and stuff are opportunistic. they look for easy meals that they know are not going to be a threat to them, and they can just pick off and consume. So yeah, I mean, the giant spiders getting charged at by a group of 4 armed with weapons. But definitely a different situation than what they had going there. And especially with the one spider like nearing death, and like we chopped off one of its legs or something, like, and just, you know, screeching in pain and blah blah blah. And I think might have been the monster overhaul that's talked about, like how it's especially bad to fuck with humans, or, you know, human-like creatures, because they're the only creatures that will actually like hold a grudge and come back and keep pursuing you to the death or something like that. You know, like if you piss off a bear, the bear's not gonna figure out where you live and go into your cave and fuck your face up because you slighted him. So that is true. All right, so we saved the wizard and his apprentice. Pretty good. And they are traveling back to the city there, so we agree to help transport the unconscious apprentice who needs some medical aid and stuff in the city. So we'll put him on the cart, and the wizard will go with us and ride on the cart as well, because he went through an ordeal. And maybe he'll reward us, but that's honestly not the point. I think we get an XP for the combination fight / rescuing innocents. So you do stuff like this, and then your players are like craving random encounters. And hey, if you just want to wander around in the wilderness for a while and just get into random encounters over and over, go right ahead. I mean, it's a valid way to play. And it's not like RPG. It's not like grinding an RPG or anything where you're just going to move back and forth and fight bears all day for XP. Random encounters could be a lot of different things. And it could be that a dragon suddenly just smashes down in front of you and destroys you. That's the risk you're taking. Alright, so we spend the night then. We're going to roll a d6. Nothing. And then we have, I think, 2 more hexes. So we'll roll 2 more times before we get to the city. And we're going to go axe on this shit. So we're going to roll on this first table here. So just 2d20. Got a 14 and a 3, so we do have 1 civilized encounter. We're going to roll a d100 on this table here. 13, which is going to be a goat. It says that civilized encounters can confront the adventurers with domesticated animals, local residents, travelers, and even the occasional disguised monster. Which is interesting. I don't know if that's meant to be the final result there of like the double boar, the werebear or something. Or if it's just up to you to kind of be like, maybe this goat is not normal. Maybe they just see a single goat just like standing in the field watching them. And, you know, that could lead to something. It could be fucking Tiamat in disguise or something. I don't know. It could be some dark deity. It could be Satan. You know, maybe it's Black Phillip. I don't know. Or it could just be a goat. It's just one of those things. It's just see what the players do. See how they interact with it. Maybe they start fucking with the goat, and maybe I decide that it is something quite evil. Who knows? You know, it's like, sort of. It's sort of like Elden Ring, you know, those certain enemies where they're just like standing there, you know, and they look like every other enemy, but then you hit them and they turn into a rune bear. It's like that. Like, there you go. There's like a single goat there, and if you hit it, it turns into a giant fucking rune bear. Or something similar. Or something worse. I mean, who knows? But, you know, for players that just kind of fuck with everything, it's a weird, mysterious world, you know? Like, yeah, if I just had this goat here, okay, and they were like, alright, well, I hit the goat. Now I shoot an arrow at the goat. It's like, okay, you hit the goat, and then it suddenly transforms and bursts out into a fucking owlbear. So the owlbear in Shadowdark, which I thought was... They have the Grimlow, and I thought that was an owlbear. Listen to this description. I guess it's slightly different, because the Grimlow is basically an owlbear that has a mouth on its stomach. A tall, oval-shaped mammal, a giant half-moon maw hides on its belly beneath its gray fur. The owlbear has cantankerous bears with owl eyes, beaks, and feathers. But stats-wise, I mean, they're pretty close. The Grimlow is more dangerous. Yeah, I suppose it is more dangerous. But, yeah. So the owlbear has 13 AC, 30 HP, 2 claw attacks at +5, each dealing 1d10. And if it hits both targets with the same... If it hits the same target with both claws, it deals an extra die of damage. So it's a third d10. Take a 3d10 damage, I mean, you're dead. Pretty much dead. But you can also just blind it, because you can blind everything in the game, and it's a really insane spell. We won't fuck with the goat, but there you go. I mean, that's an option. None of that is laid out in Axe here on this encounter list or anything like that. But if you were looking to spice up one of these rare or one of these civilized encounters that you pass by a dozen a day, you could do stuff like that. You can definitely do stuff like that. You know, just fucking, if you want to do the goat thing, you just roll on this very rare monster encounter table, and that's what it turns into. Any one of these would be pretty interesting, like a Hydra or a giant black worm, a red dragon. Just fuck it, it's a red dragon. Good luck. We're going to move on, though. We make it to the city. The wizard thanks us profusely. And, I don't know, do we want him to give us a reward? Or are we just doing our good heroly duty? And let's roll in the Oracle. Does it give us a reward? Yes. Is it gold? Yes. Is it more than 50? Oh, yes. Is it more than 100? Yes. Is it more than 200? No. Alright, so we'll say 150 gold he gives us for saving him and his apprentice's life. I don't know. I didn't pick it, man. The Oracle picked it. Alright, good. Well, that's a little extra money then that we can spend. So we're right about 2 grand. So we wanted, you know, we're going with humans. First of all, we need availability, but this is the big city. So this is big city shit. We're talking class 1 kind of city. So there's 4 D100 light infantry, 2 D100 heavy infantry, 8 D20 bowmen. This is over the course of a month, but blah, blah, blah. And then we'd have to spend... Well, we would have to spend quite a bit of money per hireling type per week. Okay, so let's roll 4 D100. There's how many... No, we want heavy infantry, so 2 D100. 141 heavy infantry over the course of the month can be gained. Half of that, about 70, is in the first week. And then a quarter in the second week, I believe. Yeah. And then the rest in the third week. So the first week we can get by, and we'll only need 70, so it's good. So we would just have to spend, like, 18 gold on hiring, you know, the search for heavy infantry. Then we want bowmen. Do we want specifically bowmen, or do we want crossbowmen? Would that be better? Crossbowmen are twice the price. I don't think we need to go for that. So we're not going to go. We're just going to go with bowmen. Fine. So that's 8d20. 93. So the first week then we can get 45. Give or take. Let's say 45. Alright, so we're going to hire... We're doing 70 heavy infantry, 45 bowmen. That's what we're looking to hire during the first week. So, let's see here. So 12 times 70. 840 gold for our heavy infantry. I should write this down, probably. Okay. 840 gold for 70 heavy infantry. And then the bowman is going to be 9 times 45. 405 gold. For 45 bowmen. It's a sizable force. No doubt. Yeah, so there's some specifics about what they'll do and what they won't do, depending on if they're personally led by the adventurers or not. They will participate in sieges and assaults on dungeons if they are able to entirely blockade the dungeon or if they're personally led. And they will assist in searching unsettled territory around the trade route for monster lairs, if personally led. And they will accompany adventurers on wilderness expeditions into unsettled territory if on a campaign towards a known military or mercantile objective, likely to yield substantial benefit for the mercenaries. Okay, so the costs listed are for the mercenaries' wages only. Cost of armors to make and repair troop armor and weapons, stable hands to groom horses, caravans to provide supplies while in the field, and other miscellaneous expenses are not included. Mercenaries on campaign must be provided with supplies and will expect a share of military plunder in addition to wages. Military plunder. I suppose that's a good point. Is that there's no real plunder out of this. Even if we go, lay siege to the Necromancer's Keep there, he's not likely to have a whole lot of treasure in any large volume. That's why he's trying to take over this town with undead. So, that's interesting that you can't just pay like they won't just do the work for the wage per month. They have to have something more than that. I guess. There's a lot going on here, man. No doubt about it. And for most purposes, again, I would say this is kind of overkill. This is if you really are looking to run like a whole war game. But I don't think the just looking at the OSR subreddit for like discussions about mercenaries and stuff. Yeah. Just kind of... I mean, I could look at the Shadow, the Letters from the Dark again, but I don't know if it even mentioned mercenaries or anything. BX didn't include rules for mass combat. I think they figured the DM would either resolve it narratively, improvise with a few dice rolls, or use an actual miniatures combat rules set, like Gary and Dave would have with Chainmail, if a mass battle was important to the campaign. Yeah, I think ultimately if I was going to DM this and this is what players wanted to do was like, oh man, there's 70 zombies here. There's going to be more undead at that lair. Can we hire some mercenaries? Like, how would we do that? What would my response be? I'd probably get the bare basics from Axe here. Pretty much like sort of what I just did. But then I probably wouldn't go into like the whole, oh, you got to supply them and all that. Like you're paying them to do this operation and that's the thing. The thing is, like it says here, most mercenary units try to avoid actual warfare, preferring to be deployed to patrols, garrisons, and punitive expeditions against peasants. After all, real fighting leads to real dying, and dead mercenaries collect no wages. As a result, the average human mercenary is a 0-level normal man. Yeah. So veterans have actually been in combat, and that's only like 25% of the whole army. So yeah, in general, they don't really want to go with adventurers on some crazy plan that they know is going to involve conflict against zombies. So I don't know. I could see increasing the wage because of that. Like, depending on what the players want to hire, like if they're hiring just to like man a fort against possible attack by orcs or something, that's a lot safer relatively of an operation than going into open battle against gnolls or against zombies. You know, most like, yeah, we want you to fight a bunch of zombies. It's like, oh god, why? So honestly, yes, I could see throwing more money at this. Like a bonus that I have to pay out right away to all the soldiers. So what do we think? 2 gold for each one? Like, I'm just picturing like the leader of the mercenary troop that's like, look, we've got a client here, you know, that wants so-and-so heavy infantry and so-and-so bowmen, but it's definitely going to involve conflict, and it's against zombies. So we're not going to force anyone to go, but they are including a, I don't know, whatever gold bonus per man. So, yeah, because, I mean, they also do a roll, a reaction to hiring roll, and I saw that if in large amounts you want to break it up into, like, units of 120 men or something like that. This is all assuming, though, that I'm going, like, I'm handing out flyers and I'm trying to amass these men individually under my lead. Whereas, narratively, I feel like I'm trying to find, like, an actual mercenary troop. But none of that seems to be the implication here with availability based on a random number and all that sort of stuff, and you have to roll for each type and, you know, pay gold for each type that you're searching for and stuff like that. So none of this seems to be based around finding, like, a big organization that you're requisitioning men from. But I don't know, I think that's seems kind of a possibility. Because I feel like if I was high level and I had this whole army under my command and stuff like that, I could possibly, you know, hire them out piecemeal to other people, depending if they pay well enough. Which really then suggests that you're, like, paying a cut to the mercenary organization itself, rather than paying per man. So I don't know, maybe this is before their taxes to the mercenary guild or the mercenary organization. But alright, so the heavy infantry is making 12 for the whole month for the, you know, baseline, and the bowmen are making 9, so it's gonna have to sweeten the pot a bit. I would say 3 gold at least per man, which means we're getting 115 times 3, which is 345. So I'm gonna have to pay that as an extra opportunity cost just to actually hire them for the job. And so that is now going to be a total of 1,590 for this job. But depending on what is in the Necromancer's lair there, that might be chump change. And we're not doing it for the loot, we're doing it to save Baileythorpe, our hometown. So 1,590. Leaving us with 275 gold in storage. Plus the 150 I picked up. Okay. Perfect. Alright, we got our men. So now we're going to be heading back out. And now, I mean, what's going to fuck with us? That, I guess the question is, I guess I also have to feed them. Supplying armies. Oh, God. Supply cost. An army on campaign must periodically receive supplies or suffer severe consequences. Must be able to pay a supply cost in gold pieces. Must have sufficient value supply base or bases. Must have a clear line of supply. I mean, it just, there's no end to just how involved this is. It's crazy. Well, we either want to decide that their supplies for this sort of job are included, or I have to pay 60 gold for the week. Like, they're just setting out with nothing in hand. Well, it did talk about what they have with them. In addition to the weapons and armor, blah, 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 they have military tunic, cloak, pair of sandals, backpack, laborer's tools, 4 sticks and mallet, mess kit, small tent, 2 wool blankets, and a water skin. Missile armor mercenaries have 20 rounds of ammunition. So no, I don't think they have food. I think we have to spend an extra 60. Well, it puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? So it's 25 is 365. Yes, that's correct. It puts everything into perspective, what's all involved if you want to hire for an operation. And at a high level, this is nothing. I mean, really nothing. And had I calculated everything from the Sinister Secret of Salt Marsh, which is like a level 1 or 2 adventure, it's like nothing at all. Actually, because I'm really curious, let me load up a higher end module, like a high end old school module. Like, what is one? All right, here's one. So this is the Hidden Shrine of Tomoakan for level 5 to 7, which is not even that high, really, but it's certainly higher. And let's go down towards the end here to find, like, the big treasure room at the end. Oh, you find 2,500 gold piece of treasure there at the end, but it's very bulky. 80 silver chase goblets, 20 gold-plated statuettes, 50 repoussed silver chalices and servings, 150 pieces of trinket jewelry, 200 mother of pearl gemstones, a jade placard bearing the image of Zotz, and a marble statue of Chakmul. There's also 19,160 silver pieces. So that's 1,916 gold. So you're looking at close to 4,500 gold all told if you take everything. So yeah, I mean, you could certainly hire a bigger army with that if you wanted. And remember, we looked at the incandescent grottos. That had an insane amount of gold, right? Wasn't that like almost 40,000 gold? If you found everything in the whole dungeon. So these values honestly seem kind of light, even compared to Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh. Here, rich cat furs worth 50 to 100 gold pieces each. There are 3 to 12 furs. 3 will fill a pack. 2 leather bags beneath the furs hold 1,000 silver pieces. Blah, blah, blah. Silver and aquamarine necklace worth 1,250 gold pieces. That's pretty big. And an ivory cube worth 284 gold. So, yeah, I mean... And this was the whole point, is you just amassed massive amounts of money. You spent quite a bit leveling up on your way. But then level 9 and leveling all that up there, you just start spending all that huge amounts of money to build up your fortresses, your strongholds, your villages, all that kind of stuff. Build armies and go to town. Yeah, okay. Anyways. So, the next day we will set out back home. Back towards the zombie lair. So we're going to repeat the same process, I guess. This will be 4 on the first day. We did get a random encounter. I'm rolling just, I actually don't mind the OSE ones. For just random encounters kind of stuff. Now I can't find that table again. Where the hell was that? Wilderness encounters, yeah. Alright, so a D8 and then probably a D12. So it's a 2, so it's an animal. And it's a herd animal. Okay, so we just see a herd of animal, a herd of goats or something. I don't think we need to make that too exciting or anything. No, we'll just let them pass by. I don't want to waste any arrows on killing caribou or something. So we'll keep going. So that was it for the first day. And then the next day we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have another one. And that's a D8 and a D12. Ooh, this is going to be a good one. This is unusual. Were-boar. They appear in groups of 2d4. The thing is, I mean, unless it's a whole army of orcs or something, nothing even of that. Yeah, I mean, you're going to need at least dozens of combatants here to want to take on this platoon, this company of, 120 people. So the fact that I rolled Wereboar and it was 2d4 of them, they would get decimated. Yeah, I mean, they'd probably almost certainly kill a handful. It wouldn't be good, but no. They won't fuck with us. Alright, the second night, nothing. And then pretty much I think there's like 2 more rolls, maybe? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, we'll just roll 1 more because the zombie lair, we know what we're doing there. Okay, we're good. Nothing stopped us on our path, and you wouldn't really expect it to. Okay, so now we have arrived in the marshes. And we have to determine now what we want to do for mass combat. If we go with axe rules, so many rules here. Well, yeah, there's a lot of rules. Certainly stuff. And then there's a whole supplement to add even more rules. So, calculate battle ratings. So this is for a company of heavy infantry, which we don't have. Because a company of heavy infantry would be 120. So I think mostly I have to calculate this myself. And then I have to figure out exactly what the battle rating of a zombie is. Which I don't think they really go into at all. But I don't... Like, what are you supposed to do if you're doing mass combat against, not organized foes or anything like that? I don't know. Like, if I want to go into battle against, say... let's just say. Let's just say that there's been an epidemic. There's some freak occurrence. There's been a big problem. Or it's some part of my setting or some part of the campaign or whatever. And we're going into battle against 1,000 giant spiders. Which would be pretty wild. How do I figure out the battle rating for any given enemy. Or do we think that might be in the monstrous? Man, maybe they provide battle rating numbers for everything. Let me check real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna load up the monstrous manual. Okay, here's the monstrous manual. And we're gonna go to monster listings. And we want to go to spider? Giant crab spider we'll go with. Yes, they do fucking give battle ratings for every type of unit. Ho ho! Wow, they also give their supply cost, their training period, their lifespan, their reproduction rate, their untrained value, and their trained value as like a war mount. Damn. That's pretty baller. So it has that information for everything. Including animated statues of bronze. A unit of them is 49 battle rating. These things are boss. Or if you have a whole unit of giant squids. Oh, it's so much better than I imagined. I love it. Alright, zombies. A unit of zombies is 3 battle rating. Oof. Okay. Well, we're just going to go with the battle rating. We're not going to worry about that. So, there's 71 of them. We've already calculated that. That's the number we want to roll with. So, we're going to go with 71 times 0.025. So, we get a battle rating for that group that we're fighting is 1.775. So, let me just put that in the notes as well. Zombie battle rating, 71 of them, is 1.775. Okay. Then, good. Awesome. So now I want to go back. Yeah, I gotta calculate individually because we didn't buy a whole unit. We didn't hire a whole unit. So let me go back to hirelings. So heavy infantry, Oh, what? We don't get stats for them here? No, they don't give stats individually here. Nope, no, never mind then. Troop characteristics. There it is. Yeah, we're gonna just assume A's for everything. So heavy infantry has A, which has spear, sword, shield, bandit plate armor, AC of 16, all that stuff. All you really need to know is the battle rating. So we hired 70. So that's 70 times 0.016. 1.12. $1.12, yes. Okay, and then the 45 bowman is obviously going to be much lower than that. 45 times 0.013. 0.585. Bowman 45. 0.585. Okay, combined. $1.705. Pretty close to an even match. Pretty close. We are the underdogs, but our characters are also involved. And Clara has turn undead, which is pretty significant, I think, against a pack of zombies. So I don't know exactly how to incorporate that. It might mention that somewhere in Acts of what that would exactly do. But hard to say. Okay, so we have our battle ratings. Here we go. Then battle scale, blah, blah, blah. Use BRs at standard value if they're both organized into small or large scale units of the same size. So I think this is going to be one clump. We're not going to complicate this too much here. It's just not big enough scale. A commander of great strategic ability increases the battle rating of the units in his division. Yeah, I mean, that is possibly significant, but there's no way that I have any sort of strategic shit. No strategic shit. 436. Let's see, what does it take to have a great strategy? An officer's strategic ability score equals his bonus from either high intellect or will, less his penalty from low intellect or will. For each rank of military strategy proficiency the officer possesses, his strategic abilities increased by 1. Okay, so it's your intellect or will minus your intellect or will. So Norbert has a 0, Denton has a 1, Grim has a -1, and Clara has a 0. So, yeah, none of us are good at all. And I'm pretty sure there's proficiencies in Axe that you could get that increase your strategy or something, battle strategy. I definitely remember getting that on, like, a couple characters. Or at least one character. That just seemed, like, so far off from being useful. But here we are, and I would actually benefit from having good battle strategy numbers. Military strategy. +1 bonus to your strategic ability. This proficiency can be selected multiple times to a max of +3. So yeah, I mean, if you were planning on doing high-level stuff and it was built into your character, he was a military strategist and studied it and all that, I know, that's pretty significant. Okay, anyways, we don't have that. So, blah, blah, blah. We don't really need to set up the battlefield as much, per se, because it's just like one side versus one side, one army versus one army. I don't think it's really common. We just want to get to the actual roles, the fighting the battle at this point. Run a series of battle turns following the procedure below. Each battle turn represents approximately 10 minutes of hard fighting. Okay. So, the first zone missile phase. We're gonna have the bowmen launch an initial volley onto the zombies. Heroic PCs and NPCs in the zone can now make heroic forays at missile range to influence the battle rating in favor of one army or the other. Right, so I don't think we're gonna do any of that, because all of our stuff is pretty close range. Although, I mean, I have short bows on all these bowmen. That's what they're equipped with, which is not amazing. It's going to be pretty close anyways, but it has range far, which in Shadowdark is as far as you can see. As far as you can fucking see. Ridiculous information. Useless, I would add. Within sight. That's what it says. That's what it says in the book, within sight. Well, you'll excuse me if I don't really accept that, because then we could pelt them from a couple miles away. So, I'm gonna go with Axe, which actually knows things and tells you things. So, short bow for here. Short range is 75. Medium is 150. I'm sure it includes that at some point in the calculation, or... But right away we're following the melee phase, with the melee phase, so probably like 75 feet, which is pretty close to my far range of like 60 feet. So I guess if I had something far that I wanted to do, that I could influence things, but Turn Undead is near, so Clara's going in there. The only thing really then is Magic Missile, which is not really a heroic foray. Oh, we can calculate our battle rating for our heroes? Number of infantry per regular unit. What the fuck does that mean? So you multiply the number of creatures, which is he's 1, but we would be 4, I suppose, times creatures AC +1 times creatures hit dice +1 times 1 plus creature's number of special abilities. And it says to treat class PCs as having 1 special ability each, or 2 if they cast arcane spells. Okay, I get several of these things. I get the number of creatures. But then I don't know if you're supposed to add up everyone's AC +1. That seems like a lot. That seems like a big difference in the number. Plus, or times all of our hit dice together? I wish for the example they didn't just do 1, because then I'm not really sure. And then it's divided by 8 times number of infantry per regular unit, which usually is 120. So, but I guess it's pretty wild, man. It's pretty wild. But I mean, he's a 6th level fighter. And without his special horn, his battle rating would be rounded to 1. So honestly, I think you could just count everybody's 1 as 1. Which then is a massive swing. So maybe all together we count as 1. As 3rd level characters. Since that is like half the formula. Okay. But let's say we all together we count as 1, okay? So that swings it much further to our side, because then we have a 2.705 rating compared to 1.775. So instead of treating heroes as units, the activities of heroes can be resolved by zooming in on a heroic foray. It's a fight between participating heroes and a selection of foes drawn from the opposing army. All heroes foray in the same step, fight in the same foray. Heroes can only fight in 1 foray each battle turn. To foray, a hero stakes between 0 and 3 points of battle rating. The amount of battle rating stake represents the risk the hero is taking during the battle. Total amount of battle rating stake by all the heroes in the foray will determine how many foes the heroes face. Judge should select foes for the foray from among the units and heroes present in the zone, blah, blah, blah. Foes enter the foray in 1 to 4 separate groups. Foray between heroes and their foes should be resolved using the standard combat rules of Axe, initiative, morale, etc. Participating heroes may use any desired spells, magic items, or other powers they wish. They may leave the foray by using defensive movement, but cannot re-enter the same foray thereafter. After the foray, the opposing army loses units with a combined battle rating equal to the total battle rating their side lost in the foray. Huh. Oh, wow. So you are literally taking on battle rating worth of enemies. So they staked a total of 3. A unit of 60 Wolf Riders has 9.5 battle ratings, so Judge confronts Marcus and Paristo with 32% of that number, 19 Wolf Riders, equal to battle rating 3. Divides into 2 groups of 6 Wolf Riders each and one of 7 Wolf Riders. Wow. So you're just fighting fucking like dozens potentially of enemies on your own in standard combat rules. I really like the idea, I suppose. But obviously you can't stake like partial points of battle rating. Well, I guess you can't. You can stake a half point. Do we think our group could take on a half battle rating point of zombies? That's like a third of the total. That's like over 20 zombies. Although it is... Well, no matter what, right? That is going to end up being 20 zombies. Because it's not based... The number is not based on how many there are in there. It's based on the percentage of zombie battle rating. So even if there was... If we stake a half point, no matter how many zombies are left, or how many there are, we'd still face like 20-some zombies. Because the stake's not based on that. It's essentially just... I mean, at the same time, though, it's kind of just like the DM's like, how many enemies do you want to fight? And then they lose that number of enemies, and you just subtract it. So really, I mean, it's just how much do you think you can take on? But they do appear in 1 to 4 separate groups. But you could get one group, so then you still could fight 20 at once. I understand why it's set up this way. For sure, especially on larger scale stuff. But really, if I was going to run a fight like this and DM and it's like, okay, how many do you guys think you can handle? Because that, again, that's fundamentally what you're doing. They are staking how many they think they can fight, and then they fight that number in 1 to 4 separate groups. So, I think that's a really interesting system. Players tend to be cocky. And this happens, so say we do this in the melee foray, because that's when we'd pick to do it. So you resolve that. Yeah, you resolve that before you do the rolls for like your melee units versus their melee units. So if we could significantly weaken their number, that does lend our troops a pretty good chance. So I think that's what we want to do and how we want to run it. So, regardless, skipping over the idea of battle rating, although it's kind of important. But we can always just recalculate based on a small number and stuff. Although, really, the dice throws are entirely based on whole numbers. You roll a number of attack throws equal to the battle rating of the non-missile units that remain in the zone. I don't know if there's like a round up or round down thing, but I think you round down usually. Interesting. It doesn't really say what you do about partial and like half numbers or anything like that. It just says to calculate battle ratings and you throw a number of attack throws equal to the battle rating. You'd think that there would be a mention here somewhere about that. Obviously, obviously we're doing very small scale stuff. I get that. This is meant for generally much larger scales. So we could look at this organization command in very small or very large armies, which might give some insight about some stuff. Typical army built using the rules above will have 10 to 25 units, representing a force of around 600 to 3,000 combatants. Organize its troops into platoon scale units. So a platoon is 30 infantry to a platoon. Okay, I don't really see how that helps me come to any decision here, though. I don't know, because, like, my bowmen just can't do anything. They can't kill anything because they don't count as one throw, or should I just roll up? Maybe we should just always roll up. Round up. Even though I don't really say that. Maybe I can find information about... I don't know, hold on. I know this was meant to be like the whole video, so this is what we're doing. We're getting into it. I really want to know. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it does sound like they round up for some stuff, so... But I mean, if I just have one bowman, you don't round up. That would be insane. Should I just roll up? I think it's probably the easiest. But there's got to be... There's got to be like like rules around that, because based on what we have, I mean, then it's like, okay, so say we round our bowmen up, right, to 1. Because they're at 585. So we round up to 1 so they can roll once. They succeed. Then it says the army leader removes units from the zone with a combined battle rating equal to or greater than the total hit scored against his army. Which means that if they score a hit, they remove 1 whole battle rating worth of zombies. I suppose that's fair. I suppose that's maybe fair. Life is quick and cheap. This is meant to represent 10 minutes of fighting. So I guess that's fair. And then they would still round up to 1 throw. But then it's like, it's not really even relevant for us to do the heroic foray, because no matter what, there's 1 unit worth of zombies left. Right? But then if the zombies succeed on their throw and the heavy infantry don't, most of the heavy infantry are dead. And then I don't even know if they would get another roll. So I think you're meant to really revolve everything around whole numbers. And that's why you purchase everything in whole units. So you can see this chart, you know, whole units. Everything is whole numbers or 0.5 numbers. I don't know what you're meant to do with 0.5 numbers or anything, but yeah, so I think that's sort of the case. All right, so let's just roll. We'll round up for our bowmen. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to do, but I can't really find any information about that. Yeah, I can't really find information about that. So I don't know what AD&D did for mass combat compared to Axe, but I think a lot of this is Axe rules specifically. So, all right, let's just roll, and we need a 17 or higher in order to score a hit here. So we're going to roll a d20. This is a big roll. This could be the big factor. All right, we failed. So essentially, we just didn't kill any zombies. Okay, let's say we didn't kill any zombies. So there's no casualties there. So now we have the first zone melee phase. So they're going to be rolling twice. We're going to be rolling once. Unless I can manage to do a heroic foray. But to do a heroic foray and have it matter, I'd have to roll... well, it depends. We probably round down if it's less than... The heavy infantries are only going to be rolling once. So we round down if it's less than 0.5. So we'd have to kill 2.76 worth of zombies in order to swing this down to 1 dice roll. So what percentage is that? Well, we can probably calculate that actually pretty easily based on these numbers. So 0.22... No, 276? No. Yes. Correct. Divided by 0.025. 11. Can we beat 11 zombies? With turn undead? Yeah, fuck it. So whatever, that's what we stake, you know, and we want to fight 11 zombies. And if we succeed, that's what we'll reduce it by. So now we're going to go into combat, and we peel off 11 of the zombies for our own purposes. And we fight. So our initiative is 6. Theirs is hopefully not that. Let me look at... We're following Shadowdark stats for zombies otherwise. They have a -2 dex, so they got a 6 as well. We are the underdogs. We have less numbers, so we go first. Perfect. And we'll say we're a near distance away. So this is all near. Big melee. Sleep's not going to work because that's against living targets only. So it's got to be turn undead. We've got no luck tokens. Nope, Denton does have one. I'm just going to hand it over to Clara already. Turn undead. Here we go. This could just wipe them all out. 13. Do I want to re-roll that? No. I don't think I do. It's too risky. They have a -3 charisma, so it's very likely to succeed. They need to roll a 7 or higher to avoid being instantly destroyed. So there's 11 of them. Within near, there is 11. So we're going to roll 8 and 3. I'm going to see whoever rolled a 6 or lower. Just one. Okay, we blast. They rolled exceptionally well by and large. Okay, so exceptionally well. So anybody then, so we're down to 10. Anyone that rolled 15 or below then flees for 5 rounds, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. Okay, big swing there. So 6 of them just are fleeing into the marsh at top speed. So we've dealt with essentially 6 of the 11, meaning 5 are now going to combat the rest of us. Not great, but we can do turn undead again next round. So Grim's going to leap towards one of the 5 and stab with black silver. He definitely hits, takes out half its health. And we'll focus fire, because that's the best bet. So Norbert will hop in and try and cut down the same one. No backstab or anything. He misses. Denton, I feel like he's going to die if he goes in there. He has a very slim odd of killing. He has to get 6 or higher on his damage. We got to be brave, though, so he'll roll in. He definitely missed. Okay, they get to go now. There's 5 of them. So we're going to have 2 attack Grim, 2 attack Norbert, 1 attack Denton. And they get +2 on the attack. So against Grim, hit, miss, D6 damage. Yep, D6 on Grim, 2. It's nothing. Okay. Then 2 on Norbert. This is going to be much worse. Miss. Hits for 5. He definitely had healed, so he's at 4. And then 1 on Denton. Miss. Perfect. Okay, new initiative. We rolled a 1. They get to go first again. They're going to repeat the same attacks. On Grim, miss. Miss. Norbert, hit. Miss. For another 1 damage. He's down to 3. And against Denton, crit for 6 damage. He's at 3. Oof. Okay. This is what we wanted to take on, man. To give our boys a fighting chance. Alright, Clara then is going to... She's going to go. She's going to cast Turn Undead again on the remaining 5. 15. Okay, and they're going to roll 5d20. Same numbers apply. Okay, 2 of them No, wait a minute. Hold on. -3. So 3 of them instantly burst into flame and get destroyed. And then the other 2 fail and start fleeing. We win. I put them all as one group. They were supposed to maybe arrive in separate groups of up to 4 separate groups of like 2 or 3 at a time. I should have rolled that. I forgot. I brought them all at once, which actually made it easier for turn undead. But yeah, there you go. Combat over. Technically, they're fleeing, but, you know, we chase them and we cut them down because we're not involved in the rest of the combat. So we're good. Excellent. Those are 2 good turn undead rolls, or relatively good. That was excellent. All right, so we subtract. So this goes down to 60 now. We killed 11. Whoops, edit. 60. And their number is going to drop down to 499. Just enough to not get that second attack. I don't know if that's how it's supposed to work, all right? We're spitballing. Okay, and then now they both get to do a roll, the heavy infantry and the zombies, and they succeed on a 16 or higher. Technically, they'd both get a -2 because of this terrain, but no, I guess that's if one side has advantageous terrain, like a hill or a ridgeline, so no one's has an advantage here. So yeah, it's a 16 plus. All right, our boys in blue, the heavy infantry, do not kill. Neither do the zombies. So we go repeat everything a second time, except for morale, but I think morale's holding steady, so we're good. So now the bowmen shoot a second time. They need a 17. Whoo! I think that's it. I think that's over based on our interpretation. Because they round up, so they got a hit. They deal 1 hit worth to the zombies, which drops the zombies down a whole battle rating to 499. And then the zombies can't roll. So it's just a massacre at that point. I think we win. Great. Yeah. I mean, basically there's no retreat, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure if that's how I'm meant to rule all this. You roll a number of attack throws equal to the battle rating of the non-missile units that remain in the zone. How can I roll? How am I supposed to roll 4.499 dice? Can't be done. So I think we're interpreting that as we win. Excellent. So he suffered no losses. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't feel right, but it's correct. Our heavy infantry just basically weathered the storm as the bowmen decimated them. I don't know how much ammunition that was meant to cost. I'm sure that information is in here somewhere as well. Yeah, annihilation. Such an outcome is rare unless the army's leader has a very high morale modifier. Well, they can't. They keep fighting, so it doesn't matter, and they got destroyed. And we kept spamming turn undead, of course. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just give the players XP then for winning that battle as like a sort of special thing. I mean, they definitely get an XP for beating the zombies, and then for winning that whole battle and leading the charge and stuff, probably another like 3 points. So let's go up by 4 here. I think that's reasonable. All right, now we have no siege weaponry, right? So we can't actually lay siege to this necromancer's fort. But I am going to remove this zombie layer because it is gone. It is gone. We can't lay siege, so all we really can do is hope that he decides to come out in force if he has forces. But he may think it wiser to just hold up because he notices we don't have any siege warfare, siege weaponry. And so he might just think, oh, okay, well, unless they're all going to march in here. And even if they do, I think he likes his odds better having the fight happen in the dark halls of his fort rather than open battlefield with all the soldiers and archers shooting and stuff. So I think he certainly is aware, because he has control over all the zombies. He's aware that he just lost that battle pretty completely. So we're going to march over to the lair then. And I guess let's do an oracle roll. We'll leave it at 50-50. Does he launch the rest of his army out from the lair to meet us? He does. Okay, so now we need to do another battle. I'm tempted to just repeat the same thing because it was really, just sticking with zombies and stuff because it's pretty easy. But we could switch over to like skeletons. I mean, you could make this as easy or as difficult as you want. Like, he could have skeleton archers on the ramparts of his fort and stuff, just raining arrows down on us. And then you have to go into a whole siege thing. And it's like, well, we won't get into that just yet. Let's just maybe do a second battle. So, if we switched over to skeletons, imagine that's a weaker... yeah, a whole unit is 1.5. So let's, and again, I believe a unit is meant to be 120 in most cases for infantry. Well, yeah, because if you, why do I keep closing my fucking calculator? 0.011 times 120. It's 1.32, so I guess not. So should I divide 1.5 by 0.011? 136 skeletons. That might be how I meant to do it. But is that how they do it for other stuff? No, that's not. No. That's not how it's calculated. Or is it? No, because heavy infantry is not double the battle rating individually, but 120 heavy infantry is double the battle rating of 120 light infantry. So that's not how you're meant to calculate it. So no, I think it's 120 skeletons. Because that seems to be the typical unit number for practically everything except for cavalry, which is 60. So yeah, it's 120 skeletons, and it's pretty much 120 whether they're skeleton archers or skeleton soldiers, whatever. 120 of them is 1.5. If we wanted to drop that down to just 1, to make it a little nicer. Because otherwise they're rolling 2 dice. But I suppose that was true for the zombies as well. It seems very easy for my men to just get wiped out entirely. I suppose that's fair, though. I suppose that's quite fair. I don't think he has 120 skeletons ready to launch at me or anything, but he could, I suppose, to take over the whole town of Baileythorpe. I don't think so. So let's knock that down to 1, which would be 80. Yeah, 80 skeletons. So we'll go with 80 skeletons. Skeletons, 80. Just 1 perfect battle rating there. So if our bowmen get a lucky roll here, we could wipe out all the skeletons in one go. But for our heroes to drop them down to rolling less than 1 die, we'd have to kill 41 on our own. That's not happening. So I don't think we're making any heroic forays yet. Alright, so let's do the bowmen first. We'll assume all these skeletons are just armed with, like, clubs and various things like that, or, you know, rusty sword. Like, he doesn't have any bows to spare. So our bowmen roll, they get a 10, so we don't drop it down. Then it's just up to our heavy infantry against them. So our heavy infantry roll 19. That's it. That's what we need. He rolls a 13. It's over. Is it meant to be that easy? That simple? Just my heavy infantry are better and I got lucky on a roll? I don't know. Because obviously, we keep saying this is meant to be much larger scales than we're running. So, I think it might break down too much at these numbers. And there's loads of optional mass combat rules that are way just simpler and more free form and things like that. And I worry that at this scale, it's basically binary. It's like we either wipe them all out or they wipe all us out. And that's it. So I think maybe a different system that has more granularity just across the board. Not granularity of results, not necessarily in the specific combat. So, like, here's a very simple rule. This is from Beckme, which is from 1983. That was the sort of redone basic expert rules. So that stands for Basic Expert Companion. Fuck, I forget. Basic Expert Companion Masters and Immortal, which did incorporate various things from AD&D as well to kind of expand on Basic and Expert before they ditched all that and just went with, like, you know, a unified system. So this is a system from Beckme and Rules Cyclopedia called War Machine. Bases battles down to strength of each army, battle conditions, player actions, and luck. So you check a list of criteria, add related bonuses. So the army strength, battle conditions, player actions such as finding out the enemy plans, killing a leader, etc. provide additional bonuses. Then 2d20 are rolled and added to each side. The difference tells you who wins and by what margin. It sounds pretty simple. This is just somebody's rough explanation. I don't know. I'd have to actually look up, you know, get the actual PDF. So it does incorporate, like, battle rating and stuff. I guess? It does, yeah, okay, so... Yeah, each army has just an overall battle rating. The numbers are wildly different to Axe. Because here, in this example, you have... 75 orcs. With bows and axes, 25 flying orcs with spears and nets, 30 goblins with hatches, 15 gnolls with pole arms, for 145 troops total, and their battle rating is 80, against the Legion with 1,100 fair troops, divided into 5 armies, and they have a battle rating of 73. Which is wild. I'm not exactly sure how this is calculated. Again, I'd have to look at the whole thing. But because numerically the amount of soldiers is double on one side, they get plus 30 to their battle rating. They're in the lieges, they're in their liege's dominion, so they get plus 10 to their battle rating. Since it's a regular occurrence where they've beaten these creatures before, they get plus 10 from that. The raiders are on the march, so the Legion gets plus 30. The Legion have high ground, that's plus 20. And the Legion tried to attack with surprise, but they failed that. So otherwise they would have gotten a plus 40 benefit from that. But still, with the modifiers, the Legion has now a battle rating of 173. And then both sides roll a percentile die? I thought it was 2d20, but I guess, I don't know, there might be some differences here. So they roll a d100, basically, and add it to their battle rating. And the Legion rolled an appalling 3, so they have a total score of 176. Whereas the Raiders rolled a 76, giving them a total of 156. That's still a plus 20 difference to the Legion. They're the winners. And looking up the results, so I guess there's a result table. The winners hold the field, losers must retreat. Winners have 10% casualties, losers 20%. So they ended up both losing 29. And the Raiders become moderately fatigued. So this will be a minus 10 modifier if they fight again before they recover. Had they won on their surprise roll and rolled better on their battle roll, then the Legion would have had 10% casualty still, but the Raiders would have lost 50%. Wow, this is a much simpler system that I think is pretty good. I may actually have to, like, get the, yeah, the full rules for this. Other people recommend this this supplement from 2011 called Book of War by Daniel Collins. Which is meant to be relatively simple as well. Okay, so I'm looking at this. It organizes all the units, like possibly like light footmen, medium footmen, so on and so forth. Seems to have like war game rules where they have a point cost or something like that. I'm not quite sure. Or that's just the cost in gold. I don't know. That's probably, I'd have to look into it some more. But I like the War Machine rules if I could just find... Yeah, all these old, like the old 80s rule books and everything are all available just on websites. It's pretty easy to find just to look at it. Although this doesn't seem to have rules that you're talking about for War Machine. Oh, page 12. Okay. All right, so yeah, here's right, calculating the basic force rating. Find the level of the leader of the force, modify it by all the leader's adjustments for intelligence, wisdom, and charisma scores, then add a +2 bonus for each 1% of the force that is name level characters. PCs or NPCs. Name level. I mean, isn't that like 9th level or is that 1st level? I thought that was like 9th level. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 9th level, so probably not going to be much there, but right, so leader level plus your int, whiz, charisma modifiers. Then find the average level of the officers in the force, not counting the leader, multiply it by 3. For non-human troops, officer level is the average hit dice plus 1. A force must have 1 officer for every 40 troops, or this part of the experience factor is 0. Training factor. Score 1 point for every 20 weeks spent in training. Add 1 for each week that the leader spends with them, and add 1 for each month that the troops remain together and are not off in their homes or towns. Wow. And then equipment factor. Base values 5, 10, or 15 depending on the quality of the weapons. 5 if the weapons are average. Okay. Special factor. If the troops are all either elves or dwarves, this factor is 15. Some monster troops have 2 or more asterisks listed with their hit dice. They are special. For each 1% of the force that is special, score 2 points for this factor. Then the troop class is step 2. So then you look at their BFR, their basic force rating, and then that corresponds to this table from like untrained to below average to good to elite, stuff like that. And then you calculate the battle rating, which is different than the basic force rating. Divide the basic force rating by 10, rounding up. And then it's modified based on percentage of the force that is mounted, or can use missile fire, or is magical abilities, or can cast spells, or can fly, or have fast movement. So then you calculate the total BR for a force. And then from there, you determine the combat results. So that's where all those modifiers come in of like, if there's an outnumbering of troops, if morale is really high, if they've beaten the foe before, if the environment is favorable or not, if fatigue is in play, stuff like that. And then you add D100 roll to each side, and then there's a big table for the difference between the two ultimate battle ratings. In theory, it's pretty good, but I feel like this could be rewritten to be a little bit better nowadays. So I'm kind of interested in checking out that Book of War. Maybe that's better. All right, let's I'm gonna end it here. I gotta go, but I'm gonna look over the Book of War, and we'll come back, and then we'll decide how we want to do this skeleton second battle to make it maybe a little bit more fair. The axe rules are just a little too large scale and a little too specific for me to kind of grok at this scale, but we'll count the zombie win as a big win, and everybody's happy. Okay. For now, my name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging Shadowdark. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.